Hello, everyone. Hi, Jules. Okay. Happy Friday. Hope everyone is doing well. Okay. Hi, Vinny. I'm doing okay. It's been a busy morning already, but it's been good. Hi, Sarah. Sorry, taking care of one thing before I forget to do it. Thank you. Yes, okay. Mel just texted me about a Carpe Diem day, and I need to make sure I note it down before I forget. Cool. Okay. How are we doing? Happy Friday. I was just saying it's been a busy Friday for me. I had a lot to do on my list before Mom Street today, so it's been busy, but we're here. We made it. Ugh, my ears feel weird. My mini ears, not my real ears. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you guys for hanging. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me on this lovely Friday afternoon. Let's see. What are we talking about today? Oh, we are talking about things to do without a park ticket. That's what we're talking about. Okay, let me get my notes up here. My brain is moving in slow-mo today. Whew. Let me add this at the end of my notes. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Gosh, we did it forever ago. And really not a ton of information has changed. Sadly, the prices have changed. Some of the prices have gone up for things that I was looking up from the last time that we covered this on Mom Street, which I don't even know when that was. It was back when Kate was still here. So it's been a minute, but yeah, I figured we would go over it again. It was a request that I got from, I don't remember who it was. Danielle, maybe in Pocket Fam? I can't remember. So I was like, sure, we'll add it back in and go back over stuff again and, make it revisit the some of the topics that we've covered already. So yeah, sometimes you just need a break from the parks. Yeah. Yeah, some of these are super affordable. Others of them are more expensive. It just depends on what you're looking for. So let me get some coffee in my brain to wake it up here before we jump in. All right. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Ooh, I should start my recording. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Good to go. All right, jumping in. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Mom Street USA. I am your host, Jackie. And on today's episode, we are talking about things outside of the Disney parks. Now, we're still talking about Disney, of course, but today we are going to focus on different activities and things that you can do outside of the Disney parks, but still on Disney property. So, this is a topic that we covered on Mom Street a couple years back, but I wanted to revisit some of the information here to kind of jog your memory and mine, and to kind of help anybody who might be in need of this coming up for summer trips, fall trips, holiday trips for this year. So that is the goal for today. Um, yeah, I think all of that. I think let's go ahead and jump in. So, Walt Disney World has so much to do across property, right? There are so many things to do, to see, not even including the stuff in the parks, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So, stuff inside of the parks is obviously the focus for most visitors that go to Disney World, but there is so much to do outside of the parks also. Today, we are going to chat about some of the options for activities to do outside of the parks. Do keep in mind that some of these activities may change based on the time of year as far as availability goes, and Disney does tend to add, adjust, remove things that they offer as the crowd levels dictate. And we'll talk a little bit about that with some of the things later on. You'll see, like, the times that they offer may change, things like that. So always be sure to look this up for your time of year based on when you're going, because it may be a little bit different than the information that I'm because it may be a little bit different than the information that I'm going to give you today. So we're going to start off with one of the activities outside of the parks that I think is, I would say, it's most talked about, or it's frequently talked about, and a lot of people do know about that. And that is the different types of golf that you can do down at Disney World. So, three different things that we're going to talk about under this kind of golf category. The first being your traditional golf courses, right? So Disney has several PGA level golf courses on property. There are three 18-hole courses, and there is one 9-hole course. So with all of these, the prices do vary based on the tee time and the time of year. So as you're looking things up, you're going to have to kind of do some searching around to see, generally speaking, what the prices look like for your time of year. But overall, the prices range anywhere from, if you are going like last minute or you're filling in an extra space on a tee time, they can be as low as $25, or they can range all the way up to like $130. Now, that's typically for the 130 end, right? Is typically for a tee time that is up to 4 people. And but you will also find sometimes that, like, if you're a group of two and another group of two does the same tee time, you may end up together, kind of standard when it comes to that at golf courses. Discounts are given to annual pass holders, DVC members, military, and Florida residents. So that's a really nice perk of being able to go golfing on these really, really nice Disney courses. So the courses that are the 18-hole courses are the Palm, the Magnolia, and Lake Buena Vista. And then for the 9-hole course, it's a little bit different. These the cost of these typically range anywhere from $28 to $45 for tee times, again, that are typically 1 to 4 people, depending on the time that you're reserving and who else has reserved maybe a similar time. The same discounts apply for this as well. So AP, DVC, military, and Florida residents. And the name of that course is Oak Trail. Both of these courses do also offer equipment rentals. So if you do not want to travel with your golf clubs, if you don't want to fly with them, or there's no room in the car if you're driving down, you can do equipment rentals there as well. And they've got some really nice name brand options for you. Do note that the 9-hole course does not have golf carts that they allow, but they do have, like, what do you call them? Like the wheelie little carts for your bag and those things that you can choose to use, because they don't offer the golf carts. But the 18-hole courses do have golf carts that you can use also. So that is a really fun activity to do. I know that When we went last year, my brother-in-law and my dad went golfing at one of the courses and had a really nice time. They said the course was beautiful. Occasionally, you may see some Florida wildlife wandering around, which is a fun little aspect of being at Disney. And there are some little Disney touches. Some of the sand traps are shaped like Mickey heads, and some of the little, like the whole markers and stuff have characters on them, those little Disney touches that you would expect from a Disney golf course. So super fun options if you are looking for true golf while you are down at Disney. Now, that last course that we were talking about, Oak Trail, does offer something a little bit different than the traditional golf, and that is foot golf. So if you're familiar with foot golf or not, it's basically the idea of golf, but played with a soccer ball, and you use your feet instead of a golf club. So, really, really fun option if you've got some soccer fans or some golf fans that maybe want to try something different on this course. It is only offered at Oak Trail at that 9-hole course. It is $25 to $35 per tee time. And again, those are for 1 to 4 people. So super affordable option, especially if you're going as a group of 4. Really, really affordable option for something to do with a few hours of your time. Now, speaking of the hours for this are a little bit more restrictive. The hours for the standard golf, gosh, it's like 6:30 a.m. all the way until dark, right? And they do actually do different rates, I should mention, for what they call like twilight golf, where like you have a later tee time and it's not guaranteed that you're going to get through the entire course. They offer like discounts for that. Those are all on the website when you go to look it up. But with foot golf, it is more restricted to the evening hours for when it is available, because they have to swap out the golf holes with the foot golf holes, right? So they're not going to leave those standard golf holes in. They're going to exchange them out for bigger ones that the soccer ball will fit in. So depending on the time of year, depends on when you can start to book a foot golf tee time. If you're traveling November, December into the beginning of January, it's available after 3 p.m. So November, December, and like the first week of January is after 3 p.m. If it's the rest of January, February into March, it's after 4 p.m. And then March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, yeah, it is available after 5 o'clock p.m. So keep that in mind if you're looking to book, so you know kind of time frame what you're looking at. And then also, it is only available on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So again, more restrictive as far as when you can go, but it makes sense because they do have to go through maintenance wise and switch out those holes to be the foot golf holes instead. Now, since this game is played on a golf course, do keep in mind also that the basic uniform, in air quotes here, of foot golf is similar to the traditional golf apparel. You want some sort of an indoor soccer shoe, running shoe, tennis shoe, to be able to protect your feet from potential injury while you're out on the course. I love that they put on their website, because I got this right off their website and I had to copy and paste this word for word because it made me giggle. It does say, knee length Argyle socks are customary, but not necessary, as is the use of a flat cap. I just, I love that description as far as what they anticipate you wearing or suggest that you wear to go play foot golf, which is super fun. But they do mention also appropriate, non-offensive golf or athletic attire is also recommended. Jeans or jean shorts are not permitted. And do keep in mind also that soccer cleats or soccer boots, however you choose to refer to them as, are not permitted for play. So they don't want those thicker cleats on the bottom of your shoes on their golf course. So you've got to have flat bottom shoes if you are planning to play. So tennis shoes are a great option. Indoor soccer shoes, any of that you have, are perfect for playing foot golf. Now, on to our third type of golf, something completely different, and that's miniature golf. This one I think a lot of people do know about, that it is available on Disney property, but I also don't think enough people take advantage of this. If you book a package, oftentimes with your package, you get little vouchers that are included in that package for mini golf. Now, if you book a package and you don't get that, they usually will upload it directly to your account on your My Disney Experience app. So you can find that under where you would find like your tickets and passes. It is on there. So you can make sure that you see it there. If you don't see it there, go to the front desk of your resort if you booked a package and ask them about it, because sometimes they used to always send them out in like card stock, like paper form, but they've really gotten away from that. So sometimes they don't always get added to your account. So be sure to check into that if you don't see it on your My Disney Experience account. But there are two different miniature golf courses at Disney. The first we're going to talk about is the Fantasia Gardens. This features two 18-hole courses, and it is themed to Fantasia. So a ton of your favorite characters that you see in the movie and the different shorts inside of Fantasia are featured throughout these different holes. For cost-wise, this is $19 for adults and $12 per child, and that is the same range 3 to 9 that Disney uses for all of their children rates for everything. For this, walk-ups are welcome. You're welcome to just go whenever is convenient. You can also make a reservation if you choose to. I would gather to believe that 95% of the people that play mini golf just walk up and go. I don't know very many people that are making reservations for mini golf, just because, again, like I said, I think they're just underutilized at the parks. But super cute theme, really fun activity that you can do with your group whenever you're visiting the Disney parks is that Fantasia Gardens. The other golf course for mini golf is the Winter Summerland mini golf course. And this again features two 18-hole courses. It is $19 for adults and $12 for children aged 3 to 9. So same price regardless of which course you're going to. And again, walk-ups are welcome. Reservations can be made also, like we talked about. And this one, the theme is kind of fun because it was designed, the lore goes, it was designed by Santa after he discovered snow in Florida. So he was running his routes and he discovered that there was snow in parts of Florida. So he built a vacation space for his off-duty elves to go and relax. And then the elves then decided when they got there, they were going to build two distinctly different 18-hole golf experiences. A sand course, or a sand-based course that they named the summer part of it, and then a snow-based course that gets the name winter. So fun little story behind the theming of Winter Summerland. But again, both of these are really great options, especially because they are often included in your resort package. So definitely take a look at those for something a little bit extra to do on your day outside of the parks. The next place we're going to visit is Disney Springs. Now, Disney Springs has so much that you can do outside of the parks. So, we're not even today going to talk about all of the restaurants you can go to, all of the shopping that you can do, because there are 100 different options when it comes to restaurants and shopping. Today, we're going to focus on some of the experiences and activities that you can do at Disney Springs. So, keep that in mind as we go through. If you're like, well, what about the Lego store? What about World of Disney? Love those options, but it's not what we're going to focus on today, because otherwise I would do an entire hour and a half episode about all of the things that Disney Springs has to offer. While that's a great idea for a future topic, that's not what we're here for today. So over at Disney Springs, there are a bunch of different options for these activities that you can do. The first one we're going to talk about is the Cirque du Soleil show. So Cirque du Wow, that's a tongue twister for me today. So, Cirque du Soleil has their own theater at the one end of Disney Springs, and they have a uniquely Disney themed show that runs over here. So, this is not a show that has ever toured or has ever been available to view any other location other than Disney Springs. So, the whole theme behind Drawn Together is Julie, who is a courageous and determined girl, discovers an unexpected gift left by her late father. It is an unfinished animation piece. So, guided by a surprising pencil, she embarks on an inspiring quest sprinkled with her Disney childhood memories. And through this journey, she will learn to imagine new possibilities and animate the story of her future. It's a really, really great story. It does, I will just mention, deal with loss and death. So that is something to keep in mind if you're debating about going, depending on how your kiddo does with those topics. But this is something that I haven't been yet, but it's high up on my to-do list. Back about a year ago, I got the chance to chat and interview with one of the performers in Cirque du Soleil. And it was such an awesome conversation. I still am in touch with her today. She's a wonderful human being and an amazingly talented performer. So that's episode 77 of Mom Street. If you want to hop back in the archives and learn more about what the performers do. And we also talked a lot about like why this show is good for kids and different suggestions and things like that. So, really, really great option to do if you're looking for something to spend a couple hours on. Tickets for this can be purchased directly at the box office, or they can be purchased online through Cirque du Soleil. So, it is a third party. It doesn't, you don't go directly through Disney for that. The ticket ranges are anywhere from $79 to $230 for ages 2 and up, because it depends on like where you sit. If you're super close, it's going to be a little bit more than if you're in the back. But the theater overall is not super huge, so it really is a nice intimate setting for being able to experience this show. The shows, the show times that they have are generally Wednesday through Saturday. They have a 5:30 and an 8 o'clock. And then Sunday they do a matinee at 1:30. Then they also have a 4 o'clock as well. So really accessible times, especially if you've got maybe kiddos that have a little bit of an earlier bedtime. Maybe get them an earlier nap and go on that Sunday matinee time at 1:30. That's a perfect time, so you're not out super late. And you can still experience the show for what it is. So a really fun option, something unique and totally different, something you can and the show is something you can only find at Disney Springs. Something else in that same area of Disney Springs that is actually not open yet, but there is a new experience coming to the building that is literally directly across from the Cirque du Soleil Theater on the end, on that, I think it's the west end of Disney Springs, and that is Level 99. So this is opening June 29th, which is about 10 days from now when we're recording this. And this experience, I should mention, is primarily for teens and adults. So not necessarily super friendly for littles, but definitely a good option for teens and older. And the description that they have on the website, because again, the information is not fully out there yet because they haven't opened yet, but the information says unleash your potential at Level 99, offering over 60 themed challenge rooms, duels, and art hunts that test your mental and physical prowess. Gather your group for a day of fun at a place designed to test your skills. Work together to conquer the challenge rooms, earn rewards, and climb the coveted leaderboard. From solving mysteries in an ancient temple to walking a pirate's plank to beating a giant pinball game, there is something to discover behind every door. Your team will only have either 1 to 4 minutes to beat each challenge, so be prepared to act quick. And then it says, once you've worked up an appetite, you can unwind at the 2-story bar featuring handcrafted cocktails, local beers, and made from scratch bites, including Level 99's signature Detroit-style pizza. So this is a brand new experience coming to Disney Springs. It looks like so much fun. This is something that I am so ready to grab a group of friends to go hang out and experience these little challenges and challenge rooms and things. But it looks like a ton of fun. So if it is open and that sounds like something that your group wants to do because you've got the right age and the right mindset, definitely check out Level 99 over at Disney Springs. Now, for something that is a little bit more family friendly for all ages, let's talk about Splitsville. Splitsville is a bowling slash restaurant combo that is in Disney Springs. They do have options where you can just go and eat at Splitsville. The food is pretty good. I ate there a couple years back with my family when we were over at Disney Springs. Very good food, nothing like spectacular, but we all had a really good meal when we went. But then you can also pay to eat at the bowling alley and do your bowling while you're enjoying your food, which is a fun option as well. And you can order like full menu options at their bowling alley, which is nice. It's more than just, some french fries and a slice of pizza. So it is $31 to $36 per person, and you can have up to 8 people per lane. And how many bowlers you have depends on like how long you get at the lane. So anywhere from 1 to 2 bowlers, you get an hour. 3 to 4 is an hour 15. 5 to 6 is an hour and 30, and 7 to 8 is an hour 45. So bigger groups, they're going to give you that longer period of time. And food and beverage, like I mentioned, is available through the servers at the lanes for an additional cost, obviously outside of the bowling. So they do have servers that will come to you just like a standard restaurant and take your order and bring your food to you as well while you're bowling, which I think is really fun. We didn't do the bowling aspect of it when we went because we were just short on time and just needed something to eat while we were over at Disney Springs. But like I said, the food is really great. They've got great drink selection, super fun, uh, really great atmosphere for the family to go and enjoy some family time and do some bowling while you're there. The next one that I'm going to talk about is just your standard AMC movie theater. So if you didn't know, there is a movie theater at Disney Springs. That movie theater is just kind of a standard AMC as far as like what movies they get. So they're getting all of the new releases. They're getting all of the movies that you would find in your theater at home. However, they do have some elevated food here. So there are some more quote unquote gourmet meal options at the AMC at Disney Springs if that is something that is of interest to you. But overall, just your kind of your standard AMC option. I know I talked to several people that are down there in the coming weeks that are going to see Toy Story 5 since it just came out today as we're recording this. So that is a really fun option if you're down there when a movie is being released to, grab a time at the AMC theater to go see it over at Disney Springs. The next two options I'm going to talk about are so uniquely featured at Disney Springs that it's kind of hard to miss them. This one that I'm going to talk about now is maybe for your thrill seekers a little bit more, and that is the Aerophile hot air balloon. So this is an 8-minute tethered adventure in the world's largest hand-painted helium balloon. So this I feel like is an icon of Disney Springs. Most people have seen it, or you can see it from a distance when you're approaching Disney Springs and see that giant beautiful blue hot air balloon up in the air. So like I mentioned, it is an 8-minute tethered adventure. They're open generally 9:30 a.m. all the way until 11 p.m. weather permitting. It will not fly if the winds are too high, so some different things to look out for with that. Tickets can be purchased at the attraction location on a first come, first serve basis. So you can't do any pre-purchases or any advance reservations for this. It is first come, first serve. Admission cost is $30 for adults and 25 for kids 3 to 9. Also, guests over the age of 12 are permitted to ride by themselves. However, children under 12 must be accompanied by an adult or somebody that is 18 or older. So if you've got some teens that want to do it, and you just want to stand on with your 2 feet firmly planted on the ground, you can watch from below as they go up in the Aerophile hot air balloon over at Disney Springs. But I love this option. This again is something that I would consider. I'm not like super fond of heights, but I do feel like this is one of those things that I should probably experience once in my life, right? The next and last thing that we're going to talk about at Disney Springs, again, we're not getting into shopping and eating and restaurants and those things, is another kind of iconic experience over at Disney Springs, and that is the Amphicar rides. So if you don't know what an Amphicar is, it is essentially an open air convertible style car that seamlessly will transition you from land to water. So it's basically a car boat, for lack of more descriptive terms. This is a 20-minute guided tour across the waterways of Disney Springs. It is $125 per car. So this one is not split per person, it is per car because you just go with your group. They're not going to pair you with some other people that are waiting as well. And you can generally fit 3 to 4 people in a car. So $125 per 4 people. That's a pretty good experience price. The tours generally go from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Again, weather permitting, they're not going to take you out when it's pouring down rain or lightning and thundering outside. And reservations for this are also only made in person. You cannot reserve this ahead of time. It is only in person at the Boathouse restaurant. So there's like a little stand that they use when they go where you can go to walk up to make your reservations. But this experience is really, really cool. And it's a little crazy to just even stand and watch them go out in the Amphicars, right? Because it feels like something out of like futuristic movies that we watched as a kid, right? Because these cars start on land and then they just drive straight on down the ramp dock and into the water. So really, really cool experience that you can really only have at Disney Springs. And overall, it's a little pricey for a 20-minute tour, but the experience is absolutely magical. So that is another great option if that is something that sounds like something that your family would like to do. I'm gonna grab some coffee really quick. Jules, so that, what is it called? 99, level 99. It's not a true escape room. It's like a bunch of little challenges that are all different themed, kind of, from what I gather. But again, the Disney location doesn't have a ton of information online right now because it hasn't opened yet. So, but it's not like a true escape room. Yeah, Ginge, that's what I like to do. I just like to stand there and watch them come in and out because it's so crazy to watch them just drive down and into the water and away they go. Like, it's wild. Okay. We're doing good. I've got a lot of information today. I'm trying to go through it. Yeah, Ginge, I think it's gonna be a fun experience. A lot of people are really excited for it because it is like the old school Disney Quest more, where you have these different activities and stuff, and that is geared more towards teens, which I think is cool. So, all right, let's keep going so I can get through my whole list here. So the next thing that we are going to talk about is more related to the parks, but still outside of the parks, and that is different fireworks viewing options that you have. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of them that you can see the fireworks, but you don't have to be inside of the park. So let's talk about the Magic Kingdom fireworks first. So if you are someone that wants to see Happily Ever After, a couple different options that you have. The first and probably the most well known is the beach area over at the Polynesian Resort. So if you're at Magic Kingdom or if you bus to Magic Kingdom, you can hop on the monorail and take it to the Polynesian, and you can go out the backside of their resort and find like the boat docks in the beach area and some of the grassy areas and still be able to see the fireworks from there. Now, do keep in mind with this location, they will close it to resort guests only during really busy times of the year. So 4th of July, the Christmas holiday, Easter sometimes, they will close that off to only resort guests can sit there and view it just because of crowd levels and things like that. But if it's not closed and you're able to, it is a really nice option to go over and view the fireworks. They obviously pipe in the music, and you'll be able to tell where a good location is by if you can see the little top turret of the castle from where you're at. It'll be right over the tree line as you look across the water. So if you can't see that castle, you're not going to get as good of a view, but as long as you can see the sky kind of above and around it, you should be okay. Another option is one of the other monorail resorts. We're going to talk about all three of the monorail resorts with this because Those are your best options. And that is the Contemporary Resort. So we talked about this actually a couple episodes ago when we talked about like date night options. But the California Grill restaurant, which is at the top of the Contemporary, has a rooftop patio. So if you've got a reservation for California Grill, at any point in time in the evening, they open at 5 o'clock. So anytime 5 o'clock or on, you can return with your receipt and gain access to that patio viewing area for the fireworks. It's a little known kind of hidden gem of being able to eat. Not only does California Grill have really, really good food, but they have that little bonus, which is nice as well. There's also the Celebration at the Top fireworks dessert party. This one comes with more of a price point because it is about $249 per person. But that entire fireworks dessert party does take place up on top of that patio as well. So, another option if you're looking for a splurge, or maybe you're looking for a date night, like we talked about a few episodes back with Duck and Jess on our last Hub episode, this is a really, really great option over at the Contemporary. Now, the Contemporary also used to have a a little patio that was on the, I don't know, third or fourth floor that had some seats where you could watch the fireworks as well. But they recently just closed it down to only resort guests. So if you're staying at the Contemporary and maybe your view is the other side of the building, you do have access to that patio seating area over at the Contemporary as well, which is another option if you are staying there. Now, over at the Grand Floridian, your best option to see the fireworks is the boat dock area or Narcoossee's restaurant if you can get a time and a window seat during Happily Ever After, which those fireworks go off anywhere between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, depending on the day. So check those times before you book your reservation. You can have a fireworks view over there at the Grand Floridian as well. There are some other places kind of around the grounds of the Grand Floridian where you'll be able to see the fireworks, but those are the two best options over at that restaurant or at that resort. Let me do that sentence again. But those are the best options over at that resort. Now, another kind of firework adjacent experience over at Magic Kingdom that you can have is the viewing of the electric water pageant. This is a super nostalgic nighttime show that features whimsical sea creatures across the Seven Seas Lagoon, and it's set to classic Disney tunes during this. They call it a floating nighttime parade. So these are on barges, and they're like these big, they've been upgraded now. I think they're more LED based screens that have different characters and different music. It's very reminiscent of um the nighttime parade, the electrical parade that used to be in the Magic Kingdom at night. It's very much in the similar style with the music and the sights and all of that, but it has been around for over 50 years. It is an absolutely classic part of experiencing Disney around the Magic Kingdom resorts. And actually, if you want to catch it, My Disney Experience now has times for each stop that it makes. So you can actually check and see of the 5 stops that it makes, you can see what time it will be at each location, which is a really kind of fun thing to be able to experience. They didn't used to do that. I'm so glad that My Disney Experience the added those times because it makes it so much easier to catch it. So as of right now, this is June 19th of 2026. These were the times that it gave me. Now, this will vary based on the time of year because they have to wait until it gets dark, right? So certain times of year, this may be earlier in the night, but currently it stops at the Grand Floridian at 8:45, the Polynesian at 9, Wilderness Lodge at 9:30, Fort Wilderness at 9:45, and then the Contemporary at 10:18. Very specific with that. So you can catch it any of those places. You can also catch it leaving the Contemporary and going back to dock if you're standing at the monorail or any of the boat docks the at Magic Kingdom as you're like exiting the park. So if you're there a little bit later, you can sometimes catch it as you are leaving the park for the night also. But it is so it is such a fun little experience. I need to make it a point to watch this on my next trip because it's been a minute since I've seen the whole show. So definitely one to put on your list if you want an evening experience, but you don't necessarily need to do the fireworks. This is a really fun option. Or if you're already going to be at the Polynesian or the Contemporary or one of these other locations we talked about for HEA, then hopefully you can catch this as well and kind of get a 2-for-1 evening with that. I also will mention to use the map feature on my Disney experience to see where exactly it is that you should stand to find it. So let me show you what that looks like. Um, okay, so let's say you want to view it at the Polynesian. So you can see on my screen here that it says that it's at 9 o'clock. And then there's this little option right here that says find on map. You're going to click that, and then it's going to show you exactly where to go. And you can zoom out to kind of see. They're just suggesting the beach area at the Polynesian for that. But you can do that for all of the different locations because some of them are easier to find than others. So like the one that I remember is the Contemporary. You want to be again on that beach option here, or with like near where you can see where the boat docks are over here. You just want to make sure that you're in the right spot to make sure that you can see it as it comes by. Same thing for any of the other options. Like Fort Wilderness, you're going to want to be right near where those boat docks are to be able to catch it. So you'll be able to see all of the locations on your My Disney Experience app. So definitely take a look at that so you know where to go on the resort to make sure that you catch the pageant as it comes by. All right, let's talk a little bit more about fireworks. I do just want to briefly mention that if you enjoy the Epcot fireworks. Now, the Epcot fireworks obviously are a little bit different than Magic Kingdom. The Magic Kingdom fireworks are primarily up in the sky, up above the castle, easier to be seen from far away. The Epcot fireworks don't have nearly as many up in the air features as Happily Ever After does. So with Luminous, if you want to be able to see some of the fireworks, it's going to be a very obstructed view because so many of the fireworks are lower down to the World Showcase Lagoon. You can see them a little bit from the boardwalk area, basically the like bridges before you get to the boardwalk. You obviously don't want to stand behind the boardwalk because then all you're going to see is building. But also if you're staying at the boardwalk and you have an Epcot view, you'll be able to see your fireworks from there. Sometimes if you get the right room at the Swan or Dolphin, you can also see these fireworks if you're up far enough and far enough back. But really, there's no great outside of the park view of the Epcot fireworks just because there are trees and because so many of the firework features of this show are down closer to the ground. But I did just want to mention that if you are an Epcot person or if you're staying over in that area. The other thing with fireworks that you can do are one of the fireworks cruises. Now, this is going to be obviously an expensive way to view the fireworks, but this is available over at Magic Kingdom, and you will be able to see the fireworks from the Seven Seas Lagoon. So prices for this start at $4.99 plus tax, and they do vary by date. The more busy and the more sought after days are going to be more expensive. That's just the way dynamic pricing works with Disney. The boats will seat up to 10 guests. So that is a nice feature that you can split that $500 10 ways if you have that many friends that want to go with you. And just a note that you're going to want to make sure that you arrive an hour and 15 minutes prior to the fireworks start time for that. And that is something you do want to reserve ahead of time to get that all situated for your trip. Again, all the other ways that we talked about, those are all free ways that you can watch the fireworks. This is obviously a very costly way that you can watch the fireworks, but a very unique experience to be able to view the fireworks from the water right outside of Magic Kingdom. So wanted to make sure that I mentioned that as well. All right, the next category that we're going to talk about is more resort related, and then we're going to jump into a ton of stuff at the resorts here to end our time. But this is transportation adventures is what I called this next category, and that is just using some of the different transportation options around the parks to kind of have like a resort day or see some different things while you're out running around. So we're going to start with the Skyliner. I love the Skyliner. It is a super fun mode of transportation across the Disney parks. So with this, you're going to start at either Hollywood Studios or Epcot. So you're going to still need to get there, right? Whether you drive and park, whether you take a bus, you would start at either one of those parks. And then from there, you can jump on the Skyliner to access the Caribbean Beach Resort, the Riviera Resort, Pop Century, and Art of Animation. So any of those 4 resorts that you want to go and explore, you can walk around, you can grab a bite to eat, and just kind of take in the sights and see what they have to offer. Maybe if you're considering staying there on your next trip, this is a really fun way to experience all of those. I love the Riviera a lot because it's got such a great vibe. It's got beautiful mosaic artwork outside. You can grab some gelato from the stand that's in their little back courtyard. Lots of fun things. And they've got great food over there as well. But lots of options for the Skyliner. Now, if you are a monorail person and you would like to kind of stay near Magic Kingdom and do some of the monorail stuff, you can start at Magic Kingdom. You can also start at the TTC if you're driving, or with the monorail, you could also start at Epcot if you wanted to take the extended monorail ride just for something fun to do. My kids love the monorail, so I would probably like bus to Epcot, jump on that monorail, take it to the TTC, and then jump on the resort monorail from there. Because remember, there are 3 different monorails. There's the Epcot to Magic Kingdom monorail. There's the resort monorail, which that's the one you're going to want to do to stop at the resorts. And then the express monorail only runs between the TTC and Magic Kingdom. That one won't do you as much good for this particular instance. So the resort monorail is the one that you want to do, and that will take you obviously to the Contemporary, the Grand Floridian, and the Polynesian. You can go there, you can experience all the things they have to experience. They've all got different food options. They've all got different views of Magic Kingdom that you can enjoy. Lots of different things going on at these resorts. Again, food is going to be your primary one, but you can hop over to the Polynesian to grab a Dole Whip. You can hop over to the Grand Floridian to check out the piano player in the lobby. Lots of options over there at any of those monorail resorts. And again, you can hop between Magic Kingdom and Epcot using the monorail as well. The last mode of transportation that I'm going to talk about is the boat routes. There are tons of water transportation and water taxis and boat routes across property. Some of the main ones I'm going to talk about now. The first one is the friendship boats that run between Epcot World Showcase. Why is it when I'm recording podcasts, I can never remember the name International Gateway? Every stinking time. Okay. So this option runs between the International Gateway of Epcot and the front entrance to Hollywood Studios. On the way, you also stop at the boardwalk, you stop at Yacht and Beach, and you stop at the Swan and Dolphin. So again, different options that you have for exploring these different resorts to see what they have to offer. Do keep in mind, and I should mention this, for anybody that is visiting these resorts, keep in mind that some of the amenities at these resorts are only for guests, right? So this is not me suggesting to go there and use the pool. That is against Disney policy. You can only use the pool at the resort you're staying at or sister resorts. if you're staying at one of those options. So just keep that in mind. But anybody can go and enjoy quick service or dessert or look around the lobby or any of those types of activities. Anybody is welcome to go and do that. But just keep that in mind as we're talking through these. So yes, that friendship boat between Epcot and Studios will take you by the boardwalk, the yacht and the beach club, and the Swan and the Dolphin. Now, if you are in the Magic Kingdom area and you want to hop on a boat, you have several options. You can take a boat from the Magic Kingdom that will take you to Fort Wilderness, Wilderness Lodge, Grand Floridian, and the Polynesian. So those are all some options that you can do. And those boat launches are between the monorail and the ferry boat as you are exiting Magic Kingdom. They are like straight dead ahead, whereas like the ferry boat will be off to the left and the monorail will be off to the right. So just take a look at the signs to see which one you would like to go to. So you're going to start at Magic Kingdom. So however you need to get to Magic Kingdom to be able to take those boats there. You have another boat route that will also take you between the contemporary Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge. So take a look they often distinguish these boats with flag colors on the boats that will tell you which route it is that they're running to those docks. So hop on a boat, have an adventure that way. I like the boat that goes over to the I like the boat that goes over to the Grand Floridian. I like that ride. I think it's a fun, very scenic route, kind of going that direction across the lake. But you've got tons of really nice views. You get really beautiful, picturesque views of like the train station and the entrance to Magic Kingdom. You get beautiful, picturesque views of the resorts as you're approaching them. Really, really nice. I like to do it kind of during golden hour too, because then you get some of the sunlight reflecting off the water. Really, really beautiful options there for Magic Kingdom boat routes. The last boat route that I'm going to talk about is the Disney Springs boat route. So there are a couple different resorts that you can take a boat to get to Disney Springs. Now, this has been in the news recently as we are recording this because Disney is changing their policy for what guests are able to utilize transportation from resorts to and from Disney Springs. So keep in mind that for the boats that go to Old Key West and Saratoga from Disney Springs and the ones that go to Port Orleans French Quarter and Port Orleans Riverside, you have to be a resort guest of one of those, or you have to have like an activity reservation to be able to board the boats or the buses at Disney Springs. So that is a change that is coming up. So do keep that in mind. If you are somebody that likes to visit those resorts from Disney Springs, you need to have a specific reason to go in order to be able to board those boats if you have parked at Disney Springs. So they're trying to alleviate the people that are abusing the free parking at Disney Springs, I believe, is the whole purpose behind this. We'll see what happens with that, but definitely look into that if you are someone that wants to take those boat rides. Now, if you're staying at one of those resorts, you have free access to those boats, no problem. I love the boat ride from Port Orleans French Quarter to Disney Springs. We did that when we stayed there a few years back. It is a super fun boat ride down to Disney Springs. It's a little bit lengthy. It's like a 20-25 minute boat ride, but it's beautiful. There's lots of sights all around. I enjoyed it. My kids really liked it when we stayed there. So if you're staying at one of those, definitely consider taking the boats to Disney Springs for something kind of fun to do. And then when you get to Disney Springs, you have that whole list of things that I explained to you earlier in our episode. You have that whole list that I explained to you earlier in our episode of different things you can do at Disney Springs. So hop on the boat, take the boat over there, and enjoy some time over at Disney Springs. So those are your kind of transportation adventures that you can take. And again, a lot of those were resort based. So let's talk more about the resorts. This is a big list. I'm going to kind of fly through this information and give you like an overview the best that I can. And then it'll be your job to look into the ones that sound most interesting to you in just a moment. RIP the boat ride I never took. Oh, Sarah, we should have taken it when we were at Port Orleans last trip. I know. It stinks. Yeah, I don't even know how you would like I'm just trying to think how you would get to like if you parked at Port Orleans, would they let you take the boat to Springs and back? I don't know. You took your girl on the boat ride for beignets. Yeah, that's what we did too. The last time we were at Disney Springs, um, on our last trip, we took the boat over to Port Orleans to grab dinner at their at French Quarter because my husband likes the gumbo, I think it was over there. And we wanted beignets. So we were at Disney Springs and we ended up going to Port Orleans French Quarter for dinner and then we rode the boat back. So yeah, I was like, oh, buses make sense. But then they announced boats. And I said, no, right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they would let you if you were like, oh, I'm going to rent a Surrey bike like we did. Or like, oh, I'm going to get beignets. Like, I don't know. I don't know that that would be like a good enough reason under this new policy. It may depend on the cast member that is like checking for all of that. I also think that annual pass holders, I part of me would think that annual pass holders are almost not exempt, that's the wrong word, but like going to be given a little bit more leniency because we don't have to pay for parking anyway. So, like, if you see that I'm an annual pass holder and I'm trying to take a bus from Disney Springs, like, why would I do that? Like, I'm not trying to get out of paying for parking because I already don't have to pay for parking. So that'll be an interesting thing to see and almost like a little maybe something that somebody can trial run, right? To see with for annual pass holders because it doesn't make sense for me if yeah, if an annual pass holder wants to park at Springs. Or like what I would do is like I usually park it at whatever park I'm going to end at. And then I take Disney transportation everywhere. So if I want to go to Disney Springs, like I did on my last trip, I was going to look for pressed pennies for my kiddos. I went to Disney Springs and then I took a boat. Where did I go? I took a bus back to Yacht Club and went into Epcot. And then I think I ended at Magic Kingdom and that's where the car was parked. So like, I don't know. I understand they don't want people parking there to try to get to the parks. But it seems silly to limit annual pass holders when we already don't have to pay for parking. But I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than what I know. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's another reason why they're limiting this and it's not just because people are trying to park there to go to the parks. I don't know. I don't know. That's my 2 cents about the whole thing. So, these ears need stretched out a little. I think that's why they felt funny earlier. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what makes sense because like you also used to be able to just go and park at Port Orleans like we did, you know. Port Orleans isn't an issue when it comes to that. So like maybe they're going to crack down on that too and you're not going to be able to park there anymore to get beignets. Cuz like you used to be able to just go in and say, "Hey, I'm coming to get beignets," show them your ID and they'd let you go in and park. Cuz that's what I mean, Sarah and Ty, that's what we did when we went. We just said we were getting beignets and then we got beignets and went over to Riverside and rented our Surrey bike. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's, with any Disney system, there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of unanswered questions. So, I guess we'll find out. Someone's gonna have to test it, right? One of these blogs will test it, right? There's Chip and Co. or WDWNT or Mickey Blog or they're gonna send somebody to go test it, I bet you. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, shall we talk about resorts? Let's. Okay, so let's talk about all of the different resort activities that you can do without even needing to go into a park. Obviously, the first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is to check with your resort at check-in for their list of events for the week. Sometimes they have little like posters that are inside of their little like cases by the front desk. Sometimes they have different signage that are out by the pools. But definitely check in to see. These events typically include things like games, crafts, movies, and more. Holiday times, they even have special events also. Like I know we were there near Christmas time and my kids got to make some little ornaments. They have lots of different themed activities for any of the holidays, not even just like Christmas time. They'll have different things that are themed for Easter and all of the holidays in between. But the main resort activities that you're going to find, basically every resort, are an arcade. Almost every resort, if not every resort, has some sort of an arcade. Some are better than others, but there's always some sort of an arcade or game area. They almost always have a movie under the stars option where they will have different movies throughout the week, usually right around the sunset time, usually about 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m., depending on the time of year. And then a lot of the resorts also have like campfires or s'mores building or s'mores making or like toasting marshmallows also. So all of those options are kind of a general blanket statement of most resorts have those options throughout any given week, no matter when you visit. But some of the more specific options, let's talk about those now. The first thing that I want to talk about are some of the art options and art class options over at Coronado Springs. So, Coronado Springs is mainly known for being what's the word? For being a conference resort. So you get a lot of conventions and things over there, but they also have some really great art classes. So the first is the mosaic art option, and that is for ages 12 and up. It is $30. And the description of the class is to create a Disney themed artwork inspired by the vibrant mosaics of Barcelona, Spain. Let your creative spirit run free as you design a mosaic that blends seasonal elements with beloved Disney characters and stories. So they have different options seasonally depending on when you go, but they almost always have the Mickey head shaped mosaic option there. This is a 2-hour experience. And at the end, you will have a colorful keepsake, and you will receive a travel container to help you carry it home. The finished artwork may vary in size, but will be no larger than 12 inches by 12 inches. So, thinking about transporting that home, that is the shape and the size that you're looking at. And this takes place in the Dahlia Lounge at Coronado Springs on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 1 p.m., lasting until 3. You do want to make your reservation for that ahead of time on the Disney website. The other option that they have is the Colors of Coronado painting experience. This one's a little bit more involved, but it is still for ages 12 and up. It is $45 per person. And the description of this one is, it says, take in the breathtaking views of Walt Disney World Resort while you create your own masterpiece. And this is held at the Toledo restaurant. So the restaurant is obviously not open when they do this class, but that is where you will sit and paint. And you will have a 2-hour class facilitated by local artists. You'll pick up a brush and follow along as you color a canvas with themed designs based on the latest and greatest Disney has to offer. And this does mention that returning guests can expect a new design each month. So this frequently changes. So if you do it once and you want to be able to do it again, a couple months later on your next trip or a year later, chances are good you're going to get a different scene or a different experience to paint. When you're done, you'll have a brand new original. This one is 11 inches by 14 inches piece of art to bring home and show off to all of your friends. So 11 by 14 for that one. Again, thinking about transporting it home, make sure that you have kind of space in your luggage if you're flying or in a carry-on or however you're going to get it home. And this is every Friday at 1 p.m. Again, you want to reserve your time ahead of time on the Disney website, but 2 really fun art options over at Coronado Springs. And now for something completely different, we're going to go over to the Grand Floridian Resort. And over at the Grand Floridian, they actually have a fully functioning spa, which I don't know how many people actually know that the full name of the Grand Floridian is the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. So this is a spa service that is available for 18 and up. However, there are a few options for teens ages 14 to 17 that they can do if they are accompanied by a parent or guardian for the entire experience. So under 18 has to have a parent or guardian stay with them the entire time. And then they do also note that select salon and nail services are available for children 5 and up when accompanied by a parent or guardian for the entire experience. So it's kind of a tiered option. You have to look at the different things that they have to offer because they don't offer every service for every age. You do book this online. It's not, you go through the Disney website, but you actually book on a third party site for them. For 18 and up, massages, facials, nail services, hair, and makeup options, they range anywhere from $20 for a basic nail service all the way up to $300 for like full massage and facial and all of that. And they, have all sorts of price ranges in between. For the kids and teen services, they offer facials, massages, manicures, and pedicures. And those, again, start around $35 and they go up to $200 if you book one of the more involved packages. So all of that information and all of the little kind of detailed packages that they have are available for you to look at on the website, even without booking. So you can start on the Disney website, type in the Grand Floridian Spa. It'll take you to that page and you'll be able to click through to look at all of the different options that they have and the different price ranges that they have. But a really fun way if you maybe have some kiddos that really want to do like a hair option, or if they want to do mani pedi, those are really, really great options to do that you could maybe do halfway through your trip. I know one of the options as I was looking through all of these is like, what did they call it? Like a tired feet teen option or something, where it's like a foot massage and a pedicure. So lots of really cute options that they have over at the Grand Floridian Spa. Okay, let's now talk about something completely different. Let's talk about boat rentals. So we talked a little bit about boat rentals with the fireworks cruise, but let's talk about like other boat rentals that you can do. And then we're also going to talk about fishing in kind of coordination with that. But there are boat rentals that you can do at a ton of the different resorts. You can, let's see, here we go. So they have them over at Fort Wilderness, Caribbean Beach, Contemporary, Grand Floridian, Old Key West, Polynesian, Port Orleans, River Wilderness Lodge, and the Yacht Club. So lots of different options there. The boat rentals are first come, first serve, and they are the Sun Tracker brand of pontoon boats. Now, I don't know that much about boating, but I got that off the website. They do seat up to 10 guests. And they're actually really affordable. They're only $49 per half hour. So you can go there, again, first come, first serve. You do not make a reservation for these, and you can talk to the people there about how long you want to go out, what your options are, and all those details with them. The driver must be at least 18 years of age. So don't send all your teenagers that are under 18 to go and rent a pontoon boat. You've got to have somebody to drive it that is at least 18 years of age. And they do have a maximum weight on the boat of 1,900 pounds, which I thought was an interesting note, but keep that in mind if you've got a bunch of big teenage football players that maybe weigh a little bit more than that. You might want to keep that into consideration. Generally speaking, their hours are 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., but that does vary depending on the time of year, weather permitting, all of those details as well, but several different options of where you can rent those. I do think I know the fishing expeditions go off of those ones that I just said. I want to make sure that the boat rentals are also available at all of those resorts too before I Okay, so some of them, but not all of them. I'm gonna insert this in. So the boat rental options are available at the Contemporary, the Beach Club, Grand Floridian, Yacht Club. I think that's it, those four. Okay, that was bad. Let me do that again. So the boat rental locations that you can go to are the Contemporary, the Grand Floridian, the Yacht Club, and the Beach Club. So those four options are where you can just rent a boat without doing a fishing exploration. So we're going to talk about fishing here in a minute, and those are a little bit different, but those 4 locations are where you can rent one of these pontoon boats to go out on the water. Now, at one of these locations at Fort Wilderness, you can also rent kayaks and canoes. So, if that is something you like to do, if you're very outdoorsy, you've got a family that's very outdoorsy, you can rent kayaks and canoes over at Fort Wilderness. Again, these are first come, first serve. It is generally 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. And it is $10 for 30 minutes. Now, keep in mind, these places claim that they're open until 5, but they stop letting people rent, usually speaking about 30 minutes before they close, because the point is they're supposed to have everybody back in and they can close down their shop for the evening at 5 p.m. So you definitely want to be there by like 4 to make sure that you get enough time to go through get all the information and get all the waivers signed and all of that before you go out on your boat or your kayak or your canoe. But Fort Wilderness is where you'll find those kayak and canoe rentals. And they do have, for all of these, they do have life jackets and all of that safety information and everything they give to you whenever you go to rent there as well. Now, something kind of adjacent to that is these fishing options that they have. So they actually have a fishing option that is the dockside fishing. So one that you don't even need to go out and drive a boat around. So this is at the Port Orleans Riverside and Fort Wilderness resorts only. It is $6 for 30 minutes of fishing on the dockside, and they give you the pole and the bait. The bait, I believe, is a little bit of an extra cost. I want to say $4 or $5 for different container sizes. It probably depends on what they have available and that, but you can do dockside fishing over there. It is all catch and release, obviously. I believe it's primarily bass that you are fishing for in the waterways at Disney. And that's what Disney brings in for the fishing experiences, but don't quote me on that. So dockside fishing over at Riverside and Fort Wilderness. And then they do offer fishing excursions as well. So the excursions are offered at Fort Wilderness, Caribbean Beach, Contemporary, Grand Floridian, Old Key West, Polynesian, Port Orleans Riverside, Wilderness Lodge, and Yacht Club. So lots of options for where these fishing excursions can take place. Something fun to note that I didn't realize, and I've looked at these fishing excursions before, but I didn't realize some of them super early in the morning. You can actually take a fishing excursion into the World Showcase lake, like into the lagoon, like that World Showcase is situated around. So, like, if you're somebody that is jumping on over at like the yacht club, you can go into Epcot on your boat, right? You're not going to be obviously walking around in the parks before it's open, but like they have like 7 a.m. times, which is before the park opens, but you can go into the World Showcase Lagoon and fish in there, which I thought was super cool. I didn't even know that you could do that. But they have 2 hour and 4 hour excursions for these fishing experiences. A 2 hour one generally ranges anywhere from $250 to $300. A 4 hour one is $450 to $500. And they have a couple different types of boats that you can go on. I should also mention that DVC and annual pass holders get 15% off of those prices, but you can choose from a guided bass fishing excursion, which includes a Sun Tracker fishing barge pontoon boat, which will accommodate up to 5 guests, or a tournament style nitro bass fishing boat, which will accommodate up to 3 guests. So those price ranges, like the 250 for 2 hours is going to be your smaller boat, and then the 300 is going to be your bigger boat. But either way, if you're going with friends or different family members, you can split that cost between all of you, which I think is really nice. And again, DVC and APs get 15% off of those options. But yeah, a lot of the options also happen at the Seven Seas Lagoon. So like if you're a Fort Wilderness, if you are Contemporary, Grand Floridian, that's where you're going to find those. I don't know for sure where the Caribbean Beach one goes. I would guess it probably goes to Epcot as well. But don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure. If you've been on one of these and you know, leave us a comment because I'd love to know like if this is all like location specific, right? Because then I also don't know, like Old Key West and Port Orleans Riverside, did they go to Disney Springs? Just thinking about bigger areas that they could do it at that's not like a riverway. I would guess that would make sense to me. So those are probably your three options as far as location that you go to. But either way, a really fun option if you've got fisher people, fishermen, fisherwomen in your travel group. That's a really fun option to do at one of the resorts. Okay, I think that's all of our boat related things. Let's talk about bicycle rentals because this is another option that you have over at some of the resorts. So, some of these resorts are so scenic that they give you the ability to rent a bicycle because they've got bike paths and walking paths and things that you can take these on. So they have both adult bikes and children's bikes, and they even have some that have training wheels on them, which is a really nice feature. They are available on a first come, first served basis at the following Disney Resort hotels. So Old Key West, Port Orleans Riverside, Saratoga Springs, and Fort Wilderness. They all have bicycle rentals that you can do. The price range for bike rentals is $9 per 60 minutes. So if you just want to take a couple laps around the resort and then go back and return your bicycle, you can do that. Or they are $18 for the whole day. So if you'd like to rent it from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you will pay $18 for the whole day. So if you'd like to have that ability to ride around throughout the day, that could be a really fun adventure that you could go on, especially some of these resorts. Like some of these resorts are huge. Old Key West and Saratoga Springs are massive resorts. So is Fort Wilderness. Port Orleans Riverside's a little bit smaller, but I guess you could take your bike over to French Quarter potentially and have that kind of extended route that you could take. But all of these resorts are beautiful and scenic. Old Key West and Saratoga Springs, especially, you go near some of the golf courses. So just absolutely beautifully scenic at these locations. Do keep in mind that Florida law requires bicyclists under 16 years of age to wear helmets. So anyone under 16 is required by their law to wear a helmet. And your guests must remain within the specific resort area where the bike has been rented. So it's not like you could grab a bike at Saratoga Springs and ride it to Disney Springs. That is not allowed. You have to stay in the resort area for which you rent. Now, the reason that I mentioned Riverside, Port Orleans Riverside, is I don't know for sure if they would let you go to French Quarter because it's all connected by those pathways or not. So that would be a question you'd have to ask if you're over at Riverside and planning to do a bicycle rental. Now, the other style of bike rental that they have are the Surrey bikes. And I actually just did this with our good friends Sarah and Ty on my last trip. And oh my word, we had so much fun doing the Surrey bikes. We chose to do it over at Port Orleans Riverside. They also have them at Boardwalk Inn, Old Key West, and Saratoga Springs. So, again, these options are some of the bigger resorts that have these walking pathways already kind of built into their infrastructure. But you can choose a 2-person or a 4-person Surrey bike at those locations. Do keep in mind that if you are doing these Surrey bikes, they're heavy. So there were 3 of us doing the Surrey bike over the 4-person Surrey bike over at Riverside, and some of the little hills we had to go up, we had to work real hard to get up there. So they are heavy bikes. It is a bit of a workout. So keep that in mind. You definitely want to have enough leg power to get you through. Now, these locations also have, or these bikes also have like middle seats that have options where like little kiddos can sit with like a little seat belt, which is kind of fun. So definitely take a look at that. But the price range for these is for a 2-seater, it is $25 for 30 minutes. And then for a 4-seater, it is $28 for 30 minutes. So a really affordable option. We had so much fun. We made it 2 laps around Riverside in our 30 minutes that we had. And they have a little map on that's like connected to the Surrey bike so you know where to go. And like the woman that was working was an angel, because we got there like right as she was trying to shut down. We were like right at 4:30 and we kind of begged and pleaded and she was so nice and let us still go ahead and rent one. And we promised her we would be back before 5 o'clock, so that way she could be done with her work for the day. But so much fun. It is a bit of a workout, but definitely worth it if that's something that you wanted to do. It's something I had always wanted to do, and we had a blast doing it. If you want to see our adventures, I did post a video on my personal TikTok account, my Wishes Mama account. We had a blast doing that. So the Surrey bikes are definitely a really fun option for something completely different. I will mention, I don't know about the routes at Old Key West or Saratoga. Riverside had just a few small hills. Boardwalk has some more hills. So unless you've got four really strong-legged people pedaling that bike, I don't know that I would suggest the Boardwalk because it's got a lot bigger hills, and it would be a lot harder to make it up those hills. That's what I would say about that. But the boardwalk would be a very nice scenic one to do if you know you've got the manpower and can get the momentum to make it up some of those hills. So do with that what you will. Okay. The last specific section in resorts that I have to talk about before we get to just some general resort ambiance, which I'll talk about as our last section to close, is over at Fort Wilderness. We've talked about Fort Wilderness, a couple different things. They definitely have some good options over there, but this is the different horse options that you have. So over at Fort Wilderness, they have the Tri-Circle D Ranch, which is where they keep all of the horses that you see across property. So the horses that pull Cinderella carriage when they do the little ponies that pull Cinderella's carriage for the different like wedding events and special events, the horses that pull the trolley cars over at Magic Kingdom that like the Dapper Dans are on sometimes, the horse that is featured in the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party Boo to You parade. All of these horses have to live somewhere. Well, they live over at Fort Wilderness over at Tri-Circle D Ranch. So they have two different options for horse experiences over here. The first that they have is the pony rides. So, for the pony rides, the riders must be at least 3 years of age, under 80 pounds, and no taller than 48 inches. So, this is truly little kiddo friendly. I really wanted to take my daughter on this, one of our last trips, but unfortunately, the trip that we wanted to go on, both my kiddos got sick, and so we just ran out of time, and now she's too tall. So I can't take her on the pony rides, but I do want to take her horseback riding when she's a little bit bigger, which we'll talk about those details in a moment. But for the pony rides, again, they must be at least three, under 80 pounds, and no taller than 48 inches. It is only $10 per child, which is a fabulous price for a fun experience to have over at the resorts. It is walk-in only. So you want to make sure that you get there early so that way you're not waiting in a super, super crazy long line. And their hours are generally 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., but they are subject to change and they don't really post them. Before the trip that we were going to go on, a few days before, I actually found a number online, and called Tri-Circle D Ranch and said, "Hey, can you tell me what your hours are going to be next week?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We're 10 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever it is." But so that was really helpful because they don't really publish the hours ahead of time unless you're like at the resort. So like you'd have to make a second trip. That would be a whole production. So I actually called and they were able to tell me, but it is walk-ins only, again, generally speaking 10 to 5 for those pony rides. Really, really great option for your littles, especially if they are animal lovers. And it's a really great option if you've also got people that want to do the horseback riding, which is the other horse experience you can have over at Fort Wilderness. Guests must be 9 years of age or older and at least 48 inches and under 250 pounds. So they do have pretty strict size guides for that, just for the well-being of the animals. It is $65 per person, and you can book it 60 days prior to your visit. And I believe it's about an hour-long experience. So that is one of those magical extras you can book 60 days prior to. And they have a couple times throughout the day that you can book. They have an 8 a.m., a 9:30 a.m., 11 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 2 p.m. So those 5 times are what they have available throughout the day. I don't know for sure how quickly this experience books up. If you've got a larger party that wants to go, I would definitely suggest booking it as soon as possible. But if you're just one person, chances are good you can probably find something a little bit closer to the day that you want to go. But this is one that I really want to do. I love horseback riding. I haven't been in so long, but I would love to go horseback riding over at Fort Wilderness. So both of those options are really great, especially if, let's say, you're doing the like 11 a.m. horseback riding and the pony rides open at 10. Get there a little bit early and you can do a little bit of experiencing both while you're over at Fort Wilderness. You can also walk in through the stables and like see all of the horses that are housed over there as well. Just again, be respectful of the animals over there. That is their home and that is their space where they're away from the hustle and bustle of the parks, just like you're there to get away from the hustle and bustle of the parks. So just be respectful if you do visit the stables over there at Fort Wilderness. So the last thing that I want to talk about in our resort section here is just some resort ambiance that you may want to go and visit. And I talked a little bit about some of these already, but I've got just like a short list of ones that I thought of off the top of my head. This is by no means a full, complete list of all of the offerings that these resorts have to offer. But what I would suggest is picking a resort that you've never been to before and that maybe looks interesting or sounds interesting, or maybe one that you're considering staying at, and just go over and see what they have to offer. Different sites to see, food, like we talked about, different experiences. So, like if you're going over to Coronado because you want to do the art class, well, then check out some of the other things that they have going on over there, right? All of these resorts have a ton of different things to offer. Some of the ones and on my short list, Animal Kingdom Lodge has amazing animal viewing. If you go out the backside of the resort at either building, you can have savanna views. You can see zebras and giraffe and antelope and water buck and all sorts of different animals. And they've got like animal viewing guides and little animal information panels that you can read like at a zoo. So that's a really fun one. And Animal Kingdom Lodge is just absolutely gorgeous. So that's a really fun one to visit. We talked a little bit about Port Orleans French Quarter and doing beignets over there. With the new stipulations on boats, it's a little trickier to get there. Hopefully you'll be able to still park or grab a bus from a bus from a park to get there. But that is an option to grab beignets, and they've got some great unique food options over there as well that are not like your standard food court food options. We talked about the Riviera earlier. I love the Riviera Resort. It's just absolutely gorgeous. They've got beautiful mosaic paintings all over. They've got an amazing view of like the Skyliner and the Caribbean Beach Resort. The food is incredible. If you're eating at Topolino's, which is the restaurant that is on the top floor, they've got a character breakfast in the morning and like fine dining for dinner at the evening. It's just great vibes over there. I love, love, love the Riviera Resort. Another one, we just talked about Port Orleans French Quarter, but also Port Orleans Riverside. You can go over there to catch a show in the evening that features Yeehaw Bob. He's a very famous entertainer over at Disney. So look him up and see if that is kind of your speed. Over at the Polynesian, they've got Trader Sam's Grog Grotto, which is the bar, the tiki themed bar that's over there. But they also have Dole Whip and some other options as far as different food and great theming over there on any of the outdoor patio seating. So that's another great option. We talked about the Grand Floridian earlier and the pianist that plays in the lobby. So that's a really fun option, especially if you're a fan of that style of music, or if you've got some kids that maybe enjoy piano playing or play the piano, go over there and check out the pianist in the lobby. The Boardwalk has a ton of food options and some really great sites also over there to check out. And it's a quick walk from Epcot, which is a nice location over there. Again, that's like my short list of ones that I could think of off the top of my head, but every resort has something to offer that you can do without a park ticket. without needing to pay an extra crazy amount of money. You're going to eat anyway, so why not try a restaurant at a different location? And any of the quick service locations across property, you are welcome to go to without needing to have, you're not going to have a reservation, but jump on a transportation option and go over to a new resort and check it out. It's a lot of fun for something extra to do. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our Fast and Furious ideas of things to do without a park ticket at Disney and for your non-park days. Gives you hopefully some options to consider. We like to kind of pair one or two things together with like a pool day or a sleep in morning if we've been going at the parks and we just need a little bit of extra time to rest. All of these are really great options for that. So hopefully this list gave you something new to consider for your next Disney trip. And as always, if you need help planning your next Disney trip, you can reach out to me, momstreetusa@gmail.com. I am not a travel agent, but I love helping people with itineraries. I love helping people coordinate their lightning lanes. I have lots of experience and knowledge for all of that. You can also comment on any of our posts and or send me a DM on social media. We are at Mom Street USA on all of our different social media accounts, including our Patreon, which is one of the best places to get a hold of me over there for any sort of questions or suggestions that you've got. I'd love to hear from you. Coming up next, on Mom Street USA, we have another episode of good information for you. And we are going to talk about next week what kids actually care about at Disney. And spoiler alert, it may not always be the rides. So that is next week's topic. So I hope you'll join me then. But for today, that wraps up all of our information for this episode of Mom Street USA. Thank you all so much for being here and for always supporting me. I so appreciate your time and your energy, and I send you all good vibes. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the next episode of Mom Street USA. Bye, everyone. And scene. What are the eyeballs for, Sarah? I don't know what those mean. Ow, my foot's asleep. I don't know what your eyeballs are looking at. Is it my next topic? Is that what we're talking about? Is that what the eyeballs are for? I will say the one thing I've not gotten used to since we switched to YouTube is how delayed the chat and the stream is, like from live time, because I usually have it pulled up down here to like make sure that I'm good to go. Yes, okay. But it's so delayed because I can like see myself down here based on when I'm in person, and then looking for the chat, it's so much more delayed than TikTok used to be. So that has been a big adjustment for me to like get used to. It's sometimes hard to think back to like, wait, what did I say? What are you responding to? What am I seeing reactions to? It's hard to teach myself to be patient. Which is so funny because you think TikTok is delayed, and it is, but YouTube is even more delayed. You have me on your big screen. Thanks, Cassie. That's a little jarring thinking about my face being on a television. But that's probably true. There are probably people that watch the podcast on bigger screens than a phone or a computer. That's so funny. Yeah, just different, right? Just different. So, well, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Yeah. I'm off to go frost some brownies for my kiddos' gymnastics family picnic tonight to celebrate the end of his season that is coming up, which is exciting. And go see what in the world is going on upstairs, because I keep hearing it sounds like they're rearranging furniture upstairs. Andrew is home, which is good, but oh, my ears. Thank you, Cassie. These ears I actually got for like $7 at Burlington, like 3 years ago. Yeah, Sarah, next time I come down, I'm gonna have to bring you and Ty some baked goods. I feel like I talk about baking all the time. I gotta share my I gotta share all my stuff with you. I do a lot of cookies and brownies. Cookies are like my primary, what I normally do, but I'll have to bring you some next time I come down, next time we hang out, which will probably not be until September. That makes me sad. I wish I could be now before then. But you know, life does life, and I need to make some more money before I can afford a flight down to Orlando again because they are crazy expensive. So yeah, that is what it is, right? Well, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for being here. I know, Sarah. Thank you for being lovely, wonderful humans. I am off to go continue my Friday adventures. Come in October and hang out with me. Cassie, send me your dates because I think I have an October potential trip. You'll be in Tennessee soon, but for a work trip. Sarah, text me because if you're not that far from me, we might be able to make something work. Um, but yeah, I don't know what I was saying. Have a great weekend. I love you all. I'm gonna head out and do all of my lovely Friday things before I have to take my kiddo to gymnastics practice. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye. This is the part where I have to wait because I don't want to cut anyone off. Okay, bye for real. Bye.